Chapter 1. Destiny stared out of the window onto the blanket of cloud that covered the sky. It was a beautiful view, one that she really appreciated. She had been a flight attendant for around 4 years now, and she never ceased to appreciate the beauty of the view that she was able to see while the plane was up in the air. It was one of the perks that made this rather difficult job just a little bit bearable. "What are you looking at?" asked Chantal, Destiny's best friend. "Oh, nothing," said Destiny, "just the clouds." "You look at that pretty much every time we are in the air," said Chantal. "Don't you get bored of looking at the same thing every single time?" "I just feel the presence of God whenever I look out to something like this," said Destiny. "I forget that you are religious sometimes," said Chantal. "I wish I could keep forgetting." She meant that last part as a joke, and Destiny knew that this was the case. Chantal was not the type of person that would guilt anyone on the choices they made in life. She was the type of person that would encourage people to always live the way they wanted to live. Destiny looked at her best friend and smiled, saying, "Hey, it could be worse. I could be an extremist or a zealot. At least I am the right kind of religious, and I do not judge people who are not as religious as me." "Yeah," said Chantal, "at least there is that." "I can't wait for this flight to be over," said Destiny. "I just want to snuggle up under a blanket with a nice book." "Are you seriously going to waste another trip to Paris?" asked Chantal. "Well, I would not call this wasting it," said Destiny. "I have been to Paris so many times. This is just a job for me. I mean, if we start taking this so seriously, what on earth is going to become of us? Being able to visit foreign and exotic places is the whole point of being a flight attendant," said Chantal. "Come on, you know that the pay is not all that great. I mean, we get enough that we can afford nice things, but we are never going to be rich. The whole benefit of this gig is that it allows us to enjoy the sights and see places that we would not be able to see otherwise. Is that not something you want to take advantage of?" "Oh, Chantal," said Destiny, "you know I am not the kind of person who would enjoy being out and about like you. I am an introvert. I prefer to be home alone with a nice book and a glass of wine. Besides, I do see the sights. I go out for walks all the time, and I go to all of the famous places that the city has offer." "That is not enjoying your time," said Chantal, indignant. "You are just walking around. You are not really enjoying yourself. You need to learn to let your hair down once in a while, live a little." "Oh, you mean the way you live a little?" said Destiny. "Come on, you are the partier. I hate that stuff." "But can't you see how much fun I have?" asked Chantal. "Come on, you can join me for one party in Paris. Let your hair down for one night. Get out of your comfort zone. I can guarantee you that you will not regret it. It will give you something to look back on later on in life. Something that you will be able to think about and laugh. What memories could you possibly get by staying at home and doing nothing?" "You do have a lot of fun," said Destiny, "but you need to realize that life is not all fun and games. You can enjoy yourself all you want, no one is stopping you, but you need to slow down a little too. I admit that I am a bit too much of an introvert and that I should get out and experience things from time to time, but you are the exact opposite. You party way too much. It is going to end up catching up with you, and you are going to get yourself in a situation that you will not be able to recover from. You need to be careful, otherwise something could happen that you would not be able to take back." "Oh, you are such a worrywart," said Chantal. "You need to wake up and smell the coffee. Speaking of which, we need to start serving coffee to the passengers." "Oh shit, I almost forgot," said Destiny. She placed the jugs of coffee onto the rolling carts and pushed them through the aisles. She smiled at every passenger and asked them if they would like some hot coffee. Some of them shook their heads no, others nodded their heads yes. There was one interaction in particular, however, that stood out from all of the others, and not because it was a very pleasant interaction. "Would you like some coffee, sir?" asked Destiny. The man looked her up and down. He had a lecherous look about him, and all of the girls had already talked about how he was someone that they should be careful of lest he do something that makes everyone uncomfortable. "How about a little something sweeter, honey?" he said, looking firmly at her breasts. Destiny cleared her throat and said, "Would you like some coffee or not, sir?" She emphasized on that last part. She was not going to let some man intimidate her. She had been doing this for 4 years. She was used to men like this who thought that they could behave this way simply because the girls were dressed up and looked pretty. She was fed up with it, and she was not going to stand for it anymore. The man looked at her, clearly surprised that she had spoken to him in this way. Clearly, he had been expecting her to meekly take what he was giving her and move on. Little did he know, Destiny was not the type of person that would take shit from anybody. "Yes," he said a little sheepishly, looking down. "Yes, I would like some coffee." "Thank you." Destiny served the man the coffee and then headed up the aisle. Once the coffee had been served, she went back to the space at the back that had been set aside for the flight attendants. She saw Chantal standing there and went up to her. "That pervy guy finally acted out," said Destiny. "Ugh, why did I have to be the one that he acted out with?" "Because you are the hottest one here, sweetie," said Chantal. Destiny smiled, but she knew that it was true. She was utterly gorgeous, had been so her entire life. Her father had raised her with firm Christian values, so she had never been promiscuous and had never let any of the boys that had wanted to take her out do so. She had never had sex until college, in fact, which was when she finally started to see guys. "You are wasting your beauty," said Chantal. "I wish I was as hot as you. I would be getting so many more guys. A girl like you. You would find the best guy in the club in no time if you were to actually put a little bit of effort into it." "Too bad," said Destiny. "I do not intend to put any effort into anything like that. I do not have the same goals in life as you. If you are referring to my goal of sleeping with a man in every city that Dionysus Airlines travels to, I would like you to know that this is a very difficult to achieve goal," said Chantal. Dionysus Airlines was the carrier that they worked for, their employer. "You are well on your way to achieving it," said Destiny. "I know that you really enjoy this, and you love the idea of having sex with someone you do not know and going out and partying, but this is not something that I am into. I prefer to just stay at home. I am an introvert after all. I will go out, but not to a club." "Listen to me," said Chantal, "you need to start living a little. You are 27 years old, which means that you have at most 6 more years before you have to retire. You are going to have to work at an office after that, because you will be too old to be a flight attendant. So you need to start enjoying yourself now. When you have been grounded, you are going to regret the fact that you did not enjoy the perks of the job as much as you should have, trust me." "Okay, fine," said Destiny. "Let us say that I agree to this. Let us say that I agree to going out with you. What would this entail?" "A night of fun and merriment," said Chantal. "Please specify," said Destiny. I would like to know what exactly you mean by merriment. Well, said Chantal, we would go to a club and dance. That is it. We would drink, dance with a few guys, and just have a good time overall. This is going to be the best way to enjoy ourselves. We are going to flirt with a bunch of guys, and whichever guys we actually like we are going to bring back to our hotel room and fuck their brains out. I do not know if I like that last part, said Destiny. I knew you were going to say that, said Chantal. Look, how about this? We can flirt with a bunch of guys, and you can at least consider the possibility that one of those guys would be someone you would want to sleep with. Just be open to it, entertain that very remote possibility. And when you have finally decided who you are going to sleep with, then you can come up to me and thank me for telling you to do that. I highly doubt that I am going to be doing that, said Destiny. I don't really like the idea of one-night stands. That may be so, said Chantal, but trust me when I say that stranger sex is the best kind of sex. You do not know what you are going to get, and when you have it you will see that I am right. I guess, said Destiny. I am still not really open to the whole one-night stand deal, but I might be willing to go out with you and dance at a club. That sounds like fun, I guess. Great, said Chantal. We are going to have a great time. Paris is a great place to just let your hair down and have fun. I guarantee that you are going to have a great time when you are there. I hope you are right, said Destiny. I really do, because if we do not have a good time I am going to be so pissed. Why are you so worried? Asked Chantal. Do not you trust me? No, said Destiny with a laugh. Of course I do not. I am not crazy. Well, you should, said Chantal. Anyway, what is it like on the relationship front? Have you found anyone you like, anyone that you might be open to starting something with? Not really, said Destiny. I don't really want to start a relationship now, I think. I want to save up, and eventually when I am settled enough I might want to start thinking about it. But for now, I think I would want to stick with what I have. You need someone in your life, said Chantal. You need someone that you can spend time with, someone that you can share things with. I mean, I get that you are independent and that you do not need anyone, but goddamn, don't you ever feel like you are going to go crazy if you don't get some dick? I do feel a little turned on sometimes, said Destiny. But I do not want to just have flings. I had a boyfriend once, it did not work out. That was just one relationship, said Chantal. You can't base all of your future on a single relationship. You need to open yourself up more, try new things. So you keep saying, said Destiny with a smirk. What is next? Get out of my comfort zone? It is not my fault that you do not listen to me, said Chantal. Anyway, how is your dad doing? He is doing great, said Destiny. I might fly out to meet him, stay with him for a month. Sometime during the summer, I am guessing. He will be free a lot of the time because of summer holidays. Perks of being a school teacher. I do think that it makes up for the fact that he makes so little money because he has so much free time to do more things with his life. That is a perk of this job as well, don't you think? Asked Chantal. Yeah, said Destiny. I do think that I have a great job, and I am really grateful that I have it. My dad is really lonely, though. He needs to get out there too, said Chantal. You and him are just the same, you wallow in the past. Well, said Destiny, to be fair to him, my mother was the love of his life. He lost someone that he thought he would never be able to replace. You can't really blame him for not wanting to move on. He lost her 15 years ago, said Chantal. If he does not move on now, he is going to end up miserable for the rest of his life. Look, the past is the past. It is over, it is gone. You can either live in the past, which means that you will never be happy, you will only be sad because you want something that can never come back, or you can move on and try to enjoy new things, try to find things to love again. If your dad does not do this, he might never be able to find joy in life again, and that is something that really scares me. I do not want him to go through that, you know, I do not want him to go through the pain of living life in such misery. I understand what you mean, said Destiny. I keep telling him that he needs to move on. A decade and a half is a long time, and I am sure that he needs someone in his life, someone that will help him and show him love. I can't live with him. If I could, I would, but I simply can't, and that means that he is alone most of the time. He needs someone to be with him all of the time, so that he has something to look forward to when he wakes up in the morning. I can't believe your dad has never had sex in the past 15 years, said Chantal. Ew, Chantal, said Destiny, grimacing. That is so gross. What is so gross about it? Asked Chantal. How do you think you were born? I know, but that does not mean that I want to think about it, said Destiny. It is my dad. Thinking about that stuff when it comes to him is so utterly gross. I have a point though, you have to admit, said Chantal. Your dad has not gotten laid in 15 years. Maybe he has had a few flings here and there, but considering the fact that he is your father and he pretty much taught you everything you know, I would not be surprised if he has not looked at a woman in 15 years. Yeah, said Destiny. You do have a point. My dad must have needs, gross to think about though they may be. And so do you, said Chantal. You can't tell me that you do not have needs, Destiny. This is why I want you to have a one-night stand, so that you can let your hair down and have an orgasm for a change. You need to start enjoying life. I just want you to be able to get out there and find yourself a man whenever you need something hot in your life. Once you do it for the first time, you are going to be able to continue doing it, and things will get easier for you in the long run. I know, said Destiny. I can't just wait for a relationship to have sex, sometimes I just need to get out there and do it. I am sure it will be fine. I will be open to the idea of it, okay? While all those guys are hitting on me, I am going to try and separate the good ones from the gross ones, and if I find one that is actually worth my time, I will fuck him. Happy? Very, said Chantal with a wide smile. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing, came the announcement from overhead. Chantal and Destiny rushed to their seats and sat down, buckling their seatbelts. Destiny looked out onto the vast expanse of cloud that stretched out from the plane. It was such an utterly gorgeous view, in all honesty, the single most beautiful view she had ever seen in her life. She would never tire of looking at it, and when the time did come to retire, she was going to miss being able to see it so often. She had a feeling that her life was going to change very soon, or rather she felt like if she did not change it very soon, she would end up going crazy. Chantal was right about one thing. Destiny really did need to get out there and have some fun, otherwise she would end up going absolutely crazy. The thing was, Destiny did not really see how she would be able to enjoy her life if she did the things that Chantal did. She wanted a change, she wanted to enjoy herself, but the only person in her life that could help her do that would make her enjoy herself in a way that she would not actually enjoy in the first place. The plane started to descend and Chantal could see the lights of the city in the distance. She saw the lights coming closer. Paris really was something else from up top. It was a city with an almost ethereal beauty to it, the sort of thing that you would not be able to describe if your life depended on it. She had come to this city several times before, but she never tired of this view. She sometimes wished that she could be like Chantal. She sometimes wished that she could just let her hair down and not care about what everyone else had to say. Maybe then she would be happier. However, she knew that this was just her trying to find ways to be happy because she was not happy. She wanted something, anything to change, to bring her out of this rut. She had become a flight attendant so she could see exotic places, and so that she could experience a change in her lifestyle. She had seen a great many places. In spite of what Chantal had been saying, she went out quite a bit. She did not get drunk and party, but she did enjoy herself and saw whatever the city had to offer. Now, however, she felt like even this was not enough. She felt like she was just trying to go through the motions, and she was starting to find it increasingly difficult to do this. All her life it was as if she had been trying to distance herself from the death of her mother. She saw her father, and she was afraid that this was what she would turn into if she was not careful. Now that being a flight attendant was not enough for her, she would have to find something else. This was why she was open to Chantal's idea of going out and partying. She wanted to do this because it would allow her to experience something new, and perhaps spark that flame of excitement that had died down in her recently. She really hoped that something would happen while she was out partying with Chantal, because if she was not able to find something that she enjoyed doing, she would end up feeling extremely depressed. She hoped beyond all hope that tonight she would find something worth living for, something that would make her truly happy. Chapter 2. I am so excited, said Chantal. My best friend's finally going out with me. Oh, I think I am going to cry. Aren't you overreacting a bit? Asked Destiny a little wryly. Not at all, said Chantal. This is something that I have been working for so long, and now I finally have it. Oh, we are going to have such a good time. I promise that I am going to give you the best night of your life. Where are we going again? Asked Destiny. It is a club, said Chantal. A nice club, not one of those sleazy places. The place we are going to is a really fancy joint, the kind of place the rich go to in order to unwind. How are we going to get into a place like this? Asked Destiny. I have slept with the manager of the place, said Chantal. Trust me, we are going to get in. The manager's name is Pierre, and he is a very charming fellow, one of the most attractive men I have ever met. And he really likes me too. He says that I was the best fuck of his life. He told me that if I ever wanted to go to his club, I would just have to say my name to the bouncer. It would be on the list no matter what day it is. I have gone to the club quite a few times, and every time I have gone my name has been on the list. Isn't that cool? That is very cool, said Destiny. I think this is one of the benefits of living like you do. You get so many perks. That I do, said Chantal with a contented sigh. You look so sexy. Where did you even get that dress? I had no idea that you have dresses like this. What do you do with them? I have them for occasions like this, said Destiny with a smile. I mean, I have nice dresses. I like to look at myself in them sometimes. And, well, back when I was with Darren, he liked seeing me in dresses, so I would wear them a lot. I can't believe you would wear dresses for that cheating asshole, but not for me, said Chantal in a huff. I am upset with you. Hey, said Destiny, I am going out clubbing with you. You are not allowed to be upset with me for a very long time. Chantal sniffed, looked at Destiny and said, fair enough, I can't really argue with that. Now, let us leave. The party at the club starts at 9 and it is currently 11, which means that we are fashionably late enough to seem exclusive and VIP. Destiny followed her friend out of the hotel and into a cab. They traveled to the club talking about a number of things, but Destiny was quite nervous. She had never really done this sort of thing before. She enjoyed dancing, but not the kind of dances that were considered appropriate in clubs. She did not really like to dance like that. She preferred to dance in a more demure and elegant way. Still, she was going to the club with her best friend. It would be a good idea for her to dance the way she would be expected to dance at a club. She just hoped that she would not end up making a fool of herself or embarrassing her best friend in any way. Chantal was putting so much effort into this, she did not want to ruin it in any way. She was also afraid of the fact that there were going to be so many men that would hit on her. She was not afraid of the men per se, she was just afraid that they would not find her interesting enough. Chantal wanted this to be a night of them enjoying the attention of a bunch of men, but if these men liked girls like Chantal, then they would be bored to death by a girl like Destiny. She was also afraid that none of the men there would appeal to her. This would be a problem because Chantal really wanted Destiny to find somebody at this club, and she would be disappointed if Destiny did not find anyone that was to her liking. Destiny put all of these thoughts from her mind when they finally got to the club, where she exited the cab and looked at the big doors that were covered in velvet. She thought it rather odd that the doors would be covered in such a material, but at the same time she knew that this was just how a lot of clubs were. They tended to look like this so that they would exude an aura of exclusivity or something similar to that. She did not mind at all. In fact, she liked the fact that these doors were shaped in this manner and covered in this material. They approached the bouncer who stopped them from entering and said, "Sorry, this is a private party. You can't enter unless your names are on this list." "Chantal Williams," said Chantal, walking up confidently. "Check the list. It is going to be there all the way up at the top." The bouncer ran his finger up the sheet of paper he had with him, and then he saw Chantal's name. He looked at her and said, "My apologies, ma'am. Please, come in." He opened the door for them and they went inside. Destiny gave Chantal a look and her best friend burst out laughing. "This is going to be so much fun," she said. "Come on, let us get some drinks in us so that we can start feeling the music." They went up to the bar and ordered a couple of glasses of wine. Destiny took a sip of hers, glad that she had the alcohol to help her loosen up a little. "You look nervous," said Chantal. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I am perfectly fine. I have just never done this before. I do not want to end up messing this up for you." "You are not going to mess this up," said Chantal. "The whole purpose of this is for you to have fun. As long as you have a good time, I am going to consider this outing a complete success." Destiny loosened up a little. Chantal's vote of confidence made her feel a lot better about the fact that she was at this club, and the alcohol was starting to take effect as well. She started moving to the beat and Chantal cheered. "That's it," she said. "That's my girl. Come on." Let us get on that dance floor. She grabbed Destiny's hand and dragged her best friend onto the dance floor. They started to dance, and almost immediately a number of men came up to them. They all looked rich, and their shirts seemed to be made of material that was more expensive than Destiny would ever be able to afford. She had to admit, it felt good to be getting the attention of so many men. She had gotten attention before, but she had started to feel just a little bit unattractive recently. She had started to feel like she had lost her charm. It made her feel good that all of these men seemed to think otherwise, that these men seemed to think that she was still extremely hot. She danced with a few men, but they immediately started to try and get their hands on her. Destiny pushed them away and said, "If you want to dance with me you may, but I do not allow you to touch me. Is that understood?" "Fine," said one of the men walking away from her, "crazy bitch." Destiny shook it off, and when Chantal started walking up to her to ask what had happened, she shook her head, smiled and started dancing again. Chantal looked relieved and continued to dance with 3 guys at the same time. Destiny was having quite a good time. Guys kept trying to come up to her and dance with her, but she did not dance with them. She did not want to. She was having a good time on her own. She found it quite hilarious that she had found a way to be introverted at a nightclub of all places. Eventually, the men that kept coming up to her and trying to get close to her started to get annoying. She walked up to Chantal and said in her ear, "I am going to go and rest for a bit. I just need to gather my thoughts. You have fun, okay? I will be right off the dance floor." "All right," said Chantal, screaming in her best friend's ear so that she would be able to hear her over the loud music. "Keep your phone close in case I call you." Destiny nodded and went off the dance floor. She walked around the perimeter of the place, trying to find the quietest spot. She found a spot that was far away from all of the dancing and thus far away from the noisy music as well. It was a dark corner, so she did not realize that someone was already sitting on the sofa there until she got very close. "Oh," said Destiny, startled when she suddenly noticed the man. "I am so sorry. I did not mean to walk up to you like that. I thought that this booth was empty." "No matter," said the man in perfect English that was exquisitely and subtly accented with French undertones. "You can sit if you like, I really do not mind. Were you looking for the quietest spot in the club?" "I was," said Destiny. "Such an odd thing," he said. "You have come to a club, yet you seek the quiet. Why would you do such a thing? Why come here at all?" "You tell me," said Destiny. "You are here in this corner just like me. Something tells me that you were looking for solitude just like I was." The man smiled at her and said, "Indeed I was. That is very clever of you." He extended his hand and said, "My name is Jordan, Jordan DuPont. Why don't you join me? I am having this lovely wine. I can share it with you if you like." Destiny decided to sit down. This man intrigued her. There was something about him that she could not quite pinpoint, something that made it clear that he was no ordinary man. He was strikingly handsome, with features that seemed pointed and clever. He looked like he could cheat a king out of his kingdom and have the poor fellow believe that he had been done a favor. She liked that about him already. She liked that he looked sly and cunning. Besides, she was here to have fun, and in Jordan she felt like she had finally found a way to have fun at this club. "So," said Jordan, "are you a fan of wine?" "I am," said Destiny. "I love wine." "Do you know how to taste wine?" asked Jordan. "No," said Destiny. I mean, I know how to drink wine. Is tasting wine any different from that? Jordan let out a laugh and said, No, I suppose it is not. I suppose that if you drink wine the right way, you are going to taste wine the right way as well. There is a way to drink wine, a way to taste it and appreciate it fully. Would you like me to show you how to do that? Yes, said Destiny, getting more and more intrigued by the second. Jordan poured a small measure of wine into a glass and handed it to her. Now, said Jordan, the first thing that you need to do in order to taste wine the proper way is to smell it. Half of taste is smell, so if you smell a wine properly before drinking it, you will be able to define the various aspects of it beforehand. Destiny sniffed at the wine. Her nose was filled with the smell of it, and it was truly an intriguing experience. She felt the wine on her tongue, almost felt it as if she was tasting it in this moment. She had never experienced wine like this. She had only ever drank wine because she had never thought that there was any other way to consume it. She sniffed it again, and her nose was immersed in the olfactory wonder of the wine that she held in her hand. Now, said Jordan, sip the wine, but do it ever so gently. Take just enough that the taste fills up your mouth, but not so much that you have to swallow it and cannot keep it in your mouth. Destiny did as she was told. She took a small sip of the wine and kept it in her mouth. Run your tongue across it, said Jordan. Let it wash over your tongue. Take it to every part of your tongue so that you can see every aspect of the wine, taste all of the accents. Destiny once again did as she was told, and she was amazed by how many different flavors she was unlocking. By taking her time with the wine, she was experiencing it in an entirely different way. She was drinking it with relish, and she felt like she could enjoy wine a great deal more if she drank it like this. You can swallow now, said Jordan, and Destiny obliged. That was absolutely wonderful, she said. How did you make that happen? It was like I was drinking a completely different wine. That is what happens when you take your time with wine and you experience it properly. Now, tell me what you experienced in the wine. What various aspects of the wine were you able to taste? I was able to taste a lot of things, said Destiny. I guess one of these things was the fruity accent to the wine. It was almost tangy, like a citrus aftertaste, except it did not come after but during the sip. Exactly, said Jordan. That is exactly what this wine is about. What else did you taste? Even though it was fruity, said Destiny, the wine was not sweet. In fact, it was fairly tart, and that seemed to elevate the fruitiness of it. I felt like the tartness of the wine seemed to improve it somehow. I do not know how this is possible. Maybe I do not have any idea what I am talking about. But what you are saying, said Jordan, it is very accurate indeed. You seem to understand the basic concepts of wine, and you know what makes a good wine good. This is a quality that many people do not have. Indeed, even people who have been drinking wine for a long period of time tend to miss out on things, but you seem to have an innate ability. It is truly incredible. You are too kind, said Destiny. She was blushing, and she was immensely glad of her black skin because it meant that Jordan would not be able to see the red in her skin. I am not, said Jordan. I am actually quite arrogant, and I tend to say all of the things that people want to avoid saying. This is because I always speak the truth, and the exact same is true for right now. I am saying the truth and nothing more. This is what I value more than anything else in the world. I suppose that is admirable, said Destiny. It makes your compliment more valid, that much is for certain. Jordan poured himself a glass of wine as well, and they drank their drinks. So tell me, said Jordan, what is it that you do? Well, said Destiny, I am a flight attendant. Oh, that is interesting, said Jordan. You probably travel a lot and see a lot of the world. I do, said Destiny. It is a wonderful job. The fact that I would be able to travel so much was the best part of becoming a flight attendant, and it was actually the single biggest reason that I became one in the first place. I guessed as much, said Jordan. Do you think you would like to do this for the rest of your life? Well, I do not think that I would be able to do this for the rest of my life, said Destiny. I am pretty sure that when I hit 33, the airline is going to come up to me and tell me that I can't do the job anymore. That is just how they do things. They want young and pretty flight attendants. What are you going to do when this happens? Nothing, said Destiny. It won't be that big of an issue. I am just going to have to work at a desk job on the ground. I honestly do not mind having to do that. I think that it is going to be a nice way to earn a living at the end of the day, but I am going to miss flying. Why do not you look into other things? Asked Jordan. I mean, there must be other fields that you can get into. I am sure that you have it in you to become a pilot or something similar to that. You could do well as a pilot, I think. I have thought about it, said Destiny, but it would take too much time and cost too much money, and I do not have either of those. If I go to flying school, I am going to have to stop working, and I will not be able to support myself while this is the case. I am going to have to sacrifice one thing or the other. No, I think the career path that has been set before me is fine. I do wish that I would be able to continue staying in the air, but if it is not meant to be, it is not meant to be. What do you do? I am a businessman, said Jordan. He did not elaborate, and Destiny was starting to get so drunk that she did not notice. They drank several glasses of wine, and then Destiny realized that she had no idea where Chantal was. She got up and started to dial frantically on her phone. What is wrong? Asked Jordan. I do not know where my friend is, said Destiny, the friend that I came here with. I need to call her, but I am so fucking drunk, I do not think that I can do that. I do not know how I am going to get home. It is so late. Destiny noticed that things were starting to wind down in the club, and she started to panic. It was 4 a.m, and she had no idea how she was going to get back to her hotel room. This was a very dangerous situation for her to be in. She needed to get a cab, but standing outside wearing clothes like this was not safe, not if she was alone. If she and Chantal had been together, then it would have been a great deal safer, but this was not safe at all. She was also afraid of the fact that she might get raped in the taxi. She had heard stories of women getting raped late at night by the taxi drivers themselves. She was so drunk, how would she even know where she was going? What if the taxi driver took her somewhere else, somewhere dark and secluded where he could simply have his way with her? What would she do then? I need to get home, she slurred. I shouldn't have gotten so drunk. I should have kept checking in with my friend. Do not worry about it, said Jordan, placing his hands on her shoulders. What the fuck are you talking about? Asked Destiny. How can I not worry about it? I am stuck here without my friend. I have to get home, and doing so is dangerous alone. I do not know what I am going to do. Listen, said Jordan, I can help you. It is not a hopeless situation, it is nothing to worry about in fact. How are you going to help me? Asked Destiny. I am going to take you to your hotel, said Jordan. I will make sure that you get there safe. Destiny thought about it. She barely knew this guy. She knew that it was not safe for her to get into a car with him. However, she did not really have a choice in the matter. She had to get home, and at the moment Jordan seemed like her only hope.
Hey there. Did you know that we've other hot romances like this that we want to release? But we need your help. Subscribing shows us that you're part of our journey and allows us to make more of these stories at a higher quality. So please, my queen, subscribe to the Romancely YouTube channel now. Thanks. Now back to your story.
Chapter 3. Destiny woke up in a haze. For a moment she did not know where she was, and this sent her into a panic. All she could remember was getting very drunk last night. What had happened after she had gotten drunk? She could not remember at all, and this was concerning because any number of things could have happened to her while she was in her state of inebriation. She tried to open her eyes, but her head was hurting too much. She had drank quite a lot the previous night, and it was catching up to her in the form of a dreadful hangover. She tried to remember the events of the previous night. She had been drinking with that man, Jordan DuPont. And then she had realized that the club was closing down and she had no idea where Chantal was. And then Jordan had offered to drop her home. She suddenly realized just how dangerous it had been for her to accept his offer. She had no idea who he was or what he was like, and in her drunken state she would not have been able to fight him off if he had tried anything with her. She got up, forcing the pounding headache from the forefront of her mind, and then saw that she was still clothed in the dress that she had been wearing the previous night. She looked next to her and saw that no one was there. She looked around the room, the headache slowly fading, and then saw him. Jordan was sitting on a chair in a corner of the room. He was also fully clothed, and when Destiny looked a little closer she saw that he was asleep. He had not tried anything with her. There she had been drunk and compliant. She would have done anything he wanted her to. She thought back and realized, with no small amount of embarrassment, that she had kissed Jordan when they had gotten back. It was the last thing that she remembered. Most men would have taken this as an invitation to have sex, and they would have taken advantage of the fact that she was drunk and would not stop them from doing anything to her, but Jordan. Jordan had not taken advantage of the situation at all. On the contrary, he had put her to bed and gone to sleep on a chair far away from the bed. He had not even slept next to her, even though Destiny was pretty sure that the chair would not have been a comfortable place to sleep for anyone, especially those used to the finer things in life, which Jordan certainly looked like. Jordan got up and started to put his clothes back on. As he was doing so, Destiny spotted the bottle of wine on the table. It was the same bottle of wine that they had been drinking the previous day, and she could see that it was pretty much empty. However, Destiny also noticed something else about the bottle, the name of the vineyard where it had been made. To her surprise, it said DuPont Vineyards. She looked at Jordan and said, "So, the wine is from DuPont Vineyards. Do you, by any chance, have any relation to the people that make this wine?" "Yes," said Jordan with a smile. "I am one of those people. I own the vineyard that this wine comes from." "What?" said Destiny. "Really? That is so amazing. I had no idea that you were involved in a thing like that. I think it's really cool." "I suppose," said Jordan. I do think that I have a lot of influence in this industry, and it allows me to make really good wine. I suppose what I really enjoy about this business is the fact that I am truly passionate about it, you know? I love wine, I love everything about it, and I really want to try and make the best wine there can be. That is why I am always so excited about work, because I know that in doing my job I am helping the world get a better one that is even more enjoyable. It is really cool that you love what you do so much, said Destiny. I love what I do pretty much just as much, and I am going to be really sad when I have to stop doing it. Who says you have to stop doing it? Asked Jordan. Why can't you just keep doing what you are doing? The airlines that you travel with, Dionysus Airlines I believe it was, tends to hire younger women. You can get a job at a different airline, one that would appreciate you and allow you to work even longer. There are a number of airlines that allow you to work up until the age of 40 as well. Yeah, said Destiny, I have thought about that. I think the best part of being an air hostess is that you get so many perks. I do not have to pay rent, I get accommodation, and I get hotel rooms where I go. I get lunch at work because there are so many in-flight meals for the flight attendants, and at the same time I am able to earn a sizable salary. I do not earn a lot, mind you, I am never going to be rich, but because so many of my things are already paid for I do not have to worry about money. I already have a fair amount saved up, about $80,000, because I only spend about half my salary. If I can last until I am 40, this amount will be over $200,000 easily. This is not a lot, but I can use it to retire and set up a shop somewhere or something. It will be good to have bigger nest egg by the time I retire. You should look into it, said Jordan. I really think that it would be a good idea. Now, do you want to come and have some breakfast with me? I would love to, said Destiny. What would you like to eat? Jordan thought for a moment and then said, I think that I would like to have some pancakes. Do you think that this would be a good idea? Do you even get good pancakes in Paris? Said Destiny teasingly. I am offended, said Jordan jokingly. One can find whatever one's heart desires in my city. It is the greatest city in the world. Destiny laughed and said, Sure. I would love to have pancakes. Shall we order room service? We, said Jordan, and he picked up the phone. He spoke in rapid French and Destiny was barely able to understand what he was saying, but she managed to glean that he asked for bacon and orange juice with the pancakes, along with coffee. Once the order had been placed, Jordan laid down on the bed next to Destiny and she placed her head upon his shoulder once again. They looked at the ceiling together, and Destiny felt rather odd in this moment. She felt odd because they were not speaking, and she was completely okay with that. With most new meetings, there tends to be this expectation to keep talking lest there be an uncomfortable silence. There was none of that with Jordan. No, instead they were able to stay quiet without worrying about the fact that there was silence between them. Destiny found this very odd indeed because she felt like this was the sort of thing that only old couples should feel, people that had been together for a very long time. She and Jordan were not even together. He was a rich French wine baron, and she was a flight attendant. She lived in New York and he lived in Paris. There was no way that they could be together, and that was fine. Destiny did not mind that at all. She felt like it was the best current scenario because she was not ready for a relationship, and it seemed fairly obvious that Jordan was not the kind of man that would get into a relationship with a woman, at least not a long-term one. She felt like this was how it was meant to be, but at the same time she could not help but wonder how things would have been if she and Jordan had met under different circumstances. "So," said Jordan, "how long are you in Paris for?" "I am leaving tonight," said Destiny. "I am going to take the flight back to New York." "That is unfortunate," said Jordan. "I don't think I would have minded spending some more time with you." "Oh well, such is life, no?" "Such is life," said Destiny with a smile. "I thought you were not the kind of guy that talked to girls after you were done with them." "Ah, but that is because I have never met anyone as interesting as you before," said Jordan. "I am flattered," said Destiny. "You come to Paris frequently?" asked Jordan. "I come here about once every 2 months," said Destiny. "Sometimes I come here twice in 2 months, but that is very rare." "If you would like," said Jordan, "perhaps we can meet the next time you are in Paris?" "If you wish, of course." "I would like it very much, but it is up to you at the end of the day." Destiny looked at Jordan and said, "Yes, I think I would like that quite a bit." "Great," said Jordan. He gave her his number and his address, and Destiny gave him the number that she used whenever she was in Paris. They decided that the next time Destiny came to this city, they would meet up and hang out. Perhaps they would even take advantage of the situation and get into a more intimate setting. All of that was just speculation, of course. Neither of them wanted a relationship, neither of them wanted anything like that at all. At the end of the day, however, 2 people that are compatible tend to be drawn to one another. When 2 people are so compatible, they cannot help but come back to each other time and time again. The breakfast arrived and Destiny ate it with Jordan. She ate to her heart's content and then went out with Jordan to see Paris through his eyes with him serving as a tour guide. She enjoyed her time with him immensely and eventually realized that she did not want to go home. She had to, of course, this was inevitable. But she missed him when he dropped her off. Little did she know, she was going to see him again very soon. This fateful meeting with Jordan had changed Destiny's life forever. She was going to discover something very soon that was going to change things dramatically for her, and she was going to have to meet Jordan again so that he could help her out. But for now, she was happy and it was good. Chapter 4. Destiny went up to her hotel room and then decided that she would go to Chantal's instead. She knew that her friend was going to be very excited when she saw her. Destiny had texted Chantal in the morning after seeing her best friend's missed calls. She had given Chantal the gist of the situation and Chantal had been very excited that her best friend had gotten laid. She went to Chantal's room and knocked. Chantal opened the door and said, "Holy shit, here she is. The stud queen." "Please," said Destiny with a small laugh, "I just had sex with some guy. I am no stud." "You are a stud and a half," said Chantal. "You went out there on your first night and you got yourself a man. Congratulations. Now, you have to tell me everything. How was it? How was the sex? What was the guy like? What did you guys talk about? Did you connect on any other level?" "We did," said Destiny. "We connected on a lot of levels, and I think he really liked me. I really liked him too. The only problem is that he lives here and I live in New York. We can't really start a relationship. And besides, I am not really looking for one, and neither is he. We are both just looking to have some fun. How is that a problem? Said Chantal. That is great news. It means that the two of you can just have a physical relationship with each other. You can meet up whenever you are in Paris or if he ever comes to New York, and you can enjoy each other without making any commitments. That sounds like a good idea, said Destiny, but I do not know. If this had been just any guy, I might not have cared, you know? But this guy, he was something else. He really was. He was just. I think we connected really well, and he just had this way of making me feel understood and accepted. We were so comfortable with each other, even though we had just met. I think the moment I started liking him was when I sort of found out that he had brought me home and he hadn't slept with me. Really? Asked Chantal. Yeah, said Destiny. You see, last night I started to freak out when the club started to close down and I couldn't see you anywhere. I started to panic, and he calmed me down. He told me that he would take me home. Now, I was nervous, but I knew that I did not want to risk going alone, so I decided to take a chance with him. When we got to the hotel room, I was so drunk that I kissed him, and I do not remember anything else after that. Now, had this been any other guy, he probably would have taken this as a sign. He probably would have assumed that the kiss meant he had my consent, and that he would not have to worry about me saying that he raped me because, after all, I kissed him. Most people would assume that this meant that I wanted to have sex with him. But Jordan. That is the guy's name, by the way. He was just so gentlemanly about it. I woke up with my clothes still on, and he was sleeping on the chair in a corner. He did not even sleep on the bed next to me, you know. That was so weird. I had no idea that he would be such a gentleman about it. Anyway, when I woke up and saw him in the corner with his clothes still on, I got really horny. You see, I just loved the fact that he had not tried to take advantage of the fact that I was drunk. He was just such a gentleman that I started to feel comfortable and safe around him. I started to feel like he was a genuinely God guy and that I could feel vulnerable around him without worrying about anything else. And so, I kissed him and I, started to jerk him off. While he was asleep? Asked Chantal. Destiny nodded and Chantal said, That is so fucking hot. I do not want to say any more, said Destiny, but I guess I just really had a great time with him. Even after we were done, he was so nice. We talked about so many things and we had breakfast together. We went out and explored the city. He showed me a side of the city that I had honestly never seen before. It was such a lovely day. I can't even begin to tell you how much fun I had. It sounds like it, said Chantal. You almost sound like you have met the man of your dreams. I would not go that far, said Destiny with a wry smile. He was just a really good guy, you know, the kind of guy that I have been looking for. He is sweet and gentle and kind, and he does not seem like the kind of guy that would force anything on me. I feel comfortable around him. It kind of sucks that I have to leave tonight, but he gave me his number and his address and told me to hit him up if I am ever in Paris again. Something tells me you are going to start taking a lot more flights to Paris, said Chantal with a smirk. Yes, said Destiny, I have a feeling that I am. I might start traveling here once a month because I want to see him a bit more often than I would with the schedule that I currently have. Also, another thing that I found out about him. He is really rich. How rich are we talking here? Asked Chantal. I think we're talking billions, said Destiny. He has a lot of money. His name is Jordan DuPont. Ever heard of DuPont Vineyards? Oh my God, said Chantal. Did you really sleep with the owner of that vineyard? They have such amazing wine. Think of all the wine that you could have, all of the amazing things you could get. I am not going to take advantage of him like that, though, said Destiny. I do not want him to think that I am just with him for the money. Of course not, said Chantal. You want him to feel comfortable and safe around you. There is nothing wrong with that. But I really am glad that you met this guy. He really sounds like a catch. A catch and a half, said Destiny with a smile. Chantal laughed. They had dinner together and then started to head down. They had a flight to catch, a flight back to New York. Destiny was planning her route out in her head. She would head to New York and take a few days off. Then she would take the flight to Brazil, probably to Rio de Janeiro, and then she would head back. She would do shorter flights for a while earning her keep, and then, after about a month, she would return to Paris. She hoped that Jordan still remembered her. She wanted to text him now, wanted to talk to him a little while she still had the chance. However, she knew that this was not possible. She could not appear so desperate and needy, not so early on. However, at that very moment, her phone rang. She picked it up and looked at it, smiling as she did so. What she saw made her immensely happy. It was Jordan. He had texted her. I had a lovely time today, said the text. I hope I can see you again soon. Have a safe flight. Destiny laughed. She had been so worried about appearing needy or desperate. Jordan had not been feeling that way at all. He had wanted to text her, so that was what he did. He did not care about anything at all. He just let the chips fall where they may. She replied to the text and then boarded her flight. She had a feeling that this was the start of something special with Jordan. She did not know how right she was, or how soon things were going to change. Destiny was very worried. She had not been this worried for many years, but the reason for her concern was a very good one indeed. She felt like she was going to collapse with all of the stress that she was feeling in this moment. She needed a break from it all. She felt like running away. She had missed her period. This had never happened to her, and she was worried that she might be pregnant. She had bought a home pregnancy test, but she was afraid to use it. She did not need it to tell her that she was pregnant. She somehow already knew. She knew because she never missed her period. This was just not something that happened with her. She was pregnant, there was no doubt about it, and everything was going to change now. Still, she had to be certain before she assumed anything. She was going to have to figure out, one way or another, how to tackle this situation, but first she needed to know, without any shadow of a doubt, whether she was pregnant or not. She looked at the test that she had just peed on. It would take a few minutes before the test came back positive or negative, and this weight felt like it was the single biggest weight of her life. It seemed even more potent than the time she had waited for her mother to come out of surgery, the weight that had ended in heartbreak because her mother had never come out of that surgery. She had died on the operating table. Destiny did not know what she was going to do if she was pregnant. The first thing that she thought about was her father. He had raised her to be a smart girl. He had been very religious, and Destiny had adopted a lot of his religious beliefs. He was not a crazy Bible basher, but he was a man of strong moral fiber, and he expected everyone around him to be this way as well. Now that Destiny was in a situation like this, she realized that her father was going to be very disappointed in her indeed. He had raised her to be smart above all other things. He had never discouraged her from meeting boys or from having sex, but he had always told her to be careful and safe at all times. He had always told her that pregnancy was a real thing that could happen to her if she was not careful, and she really needed to focus on keeping herself safe from that. He also told her that she would have to be very careful with protection because of the fact that she could end up getting a sexually transmitted disease. Destiny had done none of that. She had not been careful at all. She had been stupid, in fact. If she was pregnant, she would have to tell her father, because she knew that he would be even sadder if she did not tell him. She hoped to God that she was not pregnant, because if she was, that would mean that she would have to have a very difficult conversation with her father, one that would disappoint him a great deal. She did not want to have a conversation like this with her father. She wanted him to be happy with her, wanted him to feel like he could trust her with herself. In this moment, she felt like she was unworthy of his love. There were a lot of other problems to consider as well. If she was pregnant, she was not going to be able to fly. She might be able to fly for a couple of months, but as soon as she started showing, she was going to be grounded immediately because the airline would not want to be responsible for any harm caused to her or her baby. She would have to sacrifice a great deal of money and live off of her savings, which was something that she really did not want to do. She would find it impossible to survive if she couldn't fly and earn money. She looked at the test. There was still nothing there, still no indication of whether her life was about to change or not. She did not know what she was going to do with herself. There was another major problem that she had not thought of, and that was Jordan. He was the father of this child without a doubt, since she had not had sex with anyone else for months. She did not know how he was going to react to this. She would have to go to France, of course, and talk to him about it. However, she had to admit that she was really embarrassed by the whole thing. She knew that Jordan was going to reject her. She knew that he was not going to be happy about this. On the contrary, he was going to think of it as a huge problem. After all, he did not want a relationship. He had said so himself. He did not want kids, of course. He did not seem like the kind of guy that would want such things. Instead, he would probably just tell her that he would pay for the child's expenses and that he would give her everything that she needed. She was afraid because she did not want him to think that she was after his money. This was not the case at all. She really did not care about his money at all. She would be going there to tell him that she was pregnant and that the child was his. She thought of calling him to tell him about it, but she knew that this was the sort of thing that you told someone in person. She had to be a bit more tactful about it. She did not know if she would be able to deal with anything if he thought that she was just trying to get money out of him. She looked at the test again and her heart seemed to freeze. There it was. That plus sign that showed her that she was pregnant, that dreaded symbol of freedom being lost. This was it. There was no going back. She felt like crying, but at the same time no tears seemed to be able to come out of her eyes. All she could see, all she could feel, was the fact that she was pregnant. She left the bathroom and stumbled onto her bed. Chantal was there next to her. She had no idea what Destiny was going through because Destiny had not known how to tell her friend about it. Said Destiny. What is wrong? Asked Chantal. Are you okay? I am pregnant, she said. I am pregnant, Chantal. Oh fuck, said Chantal. Are you sure? I just took the test, said Destiny. It showed that I was pregnant. Okay, listen, said Chantal, we can deal with this. Do you know who the father is? It is Jordan, said Destiny. I am sure of it. Okay, said Chantal. That is good. It means you know who you need to talk to. If you want to go and get an abortion, I can go with you. I would not mind at all. Destiny turned around and stared at the ceiling. I do not think so, she said. I do not think I would like to get an abortion. I mean, I have no problem with women who do get abortions, of course, but I just do not think that that would be something that I would be into. Okay, said Chantal, there is nothing wrong with that. Does that mean you are going to keep the child? Yeah, said Destiny. She started to laugh. I guess I am going to keep the child. I am going to be a mother. Well, said Chantal. Congratulations, I guess. They both started to laugh until they were in stitches. They were laughing at the ridiculousness of this situation. How could Destiny be pregnant? All of this was so utterly silly, she did not know how she would even begin to process this. I actually do not mind the thought of motherhood, said Destiny. I just wish that it had happened under different circumstances. Of course, said Chantal, this is not the kind of situation that anyone would want to be in. Destiny. If you had been getting an abortion, then it would have been somewhat acceptable to not tell Jordan. I mean, it would have been a little. I guess. It would have been a dick move, but if the child was not coming into this world, you probably would have just been doing what you wanted to your own body. But I think that you are going to have to focus on something else now. If you are keeping the child, Jordan deserves to know. It is his right, Destiny. He is going to have a child. He deserves to know that this is going to happen. I know, said Destiny. Oh God, I know. I just do not want him to think that I'm after his money or anything, because I am really not. I do not care about any of that. All I care about is going out there and telling him what he needs to know. After that, I do not care. I am ready for him to never see me again. I am ready for him to break off all contact with me. I do not care if he does not want to be a father to this child. It is his decision. He would be being an asshole for not wanting to be a part of this child's life, but he is free to be however he wants to be. So tell him that, said Chantal. If you are not after his money, just say that to him. Why don't you just call him? Because I do not want to talk about something this significant over the phone, said Destiny. This just seems like the sort of thing that you need to tell someone in person, you know? I won't be able to see his reaction while I am on the phone either, and I really want to know how he reacts to this. I want to know how he feels about this. So you have to go to France, said Chantal. There is no other way to do it. I just hope that you realize how difficult this is going to be. Listen, just do this. Go up to him and be straight with him. Just go up to him and tell him that you are not looking for money, that the only reason you are here is to tell him that he is going to have a child. It is as simple as that. If he reacts badly, just tell him that you are not expecting anything from him. Just tell him the truth, you are not lying to him in any way. If he acts like an asshole, just get out of there. You did what you were supposed to do, you told him about his child, and now you no longer have any obligations towards the guy. Destiny took a deep breath and held it for a bit. She exhaled and then said, I suppose you are right. This is just something that I am going to have to do. I guess I am not going to take the flight to London, I will just go on the Paris flight instead. I will go there and tell Jordan what he needs to know. It all sounded so simple, and yet Destiny knew that it was not going to be easy. She knew that she was not going to be able to tell Jordan with ease what he needed to know, and she had to admit that she was utterly terrified of what he was going to say to her. She sighed again and closed her eyes. She wished that she could run away. She wished that she did not have to go to France and tell Jordan what he needed to know. She was ready to be a mother, but she wasn't ready for what would certainly be a rejection from Jordan. She had no idea what was in store for her future. She had no idea just how wrong she was about everything that was about to happen to her. Her life was never going to be the same again. Chapter 5. Destiny got off of her plane feeling ridiculously nervous. She had not felt this way in quite some time, and now that she was feeling this way, she could tell that she was not able to deal with stressful situations too well. She walked around the airport, starting to pace as she went over what she planned to say to Jordan. She had decided that she would call him and ask him to meet her somewhere. She did not want him to think that she was just trying to get a look at his estate. She wanted to just tell him what he needed to know and be on her way. Now that she was in France, the whole situation started to seem even more real than it had seemed before. It was almost like she was floating through someone else's dream. Yet again, she rehearsed what she had been thinking of saying to Jordan. She played it again and again in her head and tried to imagine different possibilities. It was impossible, however. She could not picture any situation where she would be able to say the right thing. Everything just seemed like one mistake after another. She felt like she was a complete and utter failure. She sighed and decided to call Jordan. Now that she was in Paris, there was no reason for her to delay anything. All she had to do was dial his number and ask him to meet her. She had been scared of the fact that he might not be in Paris when she was there. After all, he was a very rich man and probably traveled a lot. She had considered calling him before heading out, but the thought of doing so seemed to give her even more stress than she would otherwise feel if she just went to Paris and talked to him then and there. All she could think about was the fact that she was going to tell Jordan that she was pregnant with his child. She looked at her phone, thinking once, twice, and then a third time before finally dialing his number. The call went through, and then Destiny heard his voice. "Hello there," said Jordan. "Are you in Paris already? I was not expecting you here for at least a couple of more weeks." "I decided to visit," said Destiny flatly. "Listen, I need to talk to you about something. It is really important. Can you meet me today? I am here until tomorrow, and I really need to discuss something important with you. I know that I am not giving you much, I know that I am not telling you all that you need to know, but trust me when I say that I am not doing this to stress you out. I really do need to talk to you right now." "All right," said Jordan, "all right, yes, I can meet you today. I can meet you right now, in fact. Where are you at the moment?" "I am at the airport," said Destiny. "You called me as soon as you got off of the flight?" asked Jordan. "Is everything okay?" "Yes," said Destiny impatiently. "I just really need to see you." Okay, said Jordan. I can come and pick you up right now. I am nearby for some work, but I can free myself up immediately and come and see you. Come to the departure gate, all right? I shall pick you up from there. All right, said Destiny. Thank you for this. I am sorry that I am just, forcing you to come and see me like this. I really do not want to behave this way, but I guess you'll realize why I am being so anxious when you meet me and I finally tell you what I have to say. Jordan said, okay. I will be there in 15 minutes, okay? Okay, said Destiny. See you soon. She cut the call and sighed. She had no idea what she was going to do. He was going to be here in 15 minutes, but she did not know how she was going to spend those 15 minutes. How could she possibly spend that much time alone? She realized that this was just 15 minutes they were talking about here, but in spite of the shortness of her wait, she could not help but feel stressed out. She managed to spend that time pacing and wondering if what she was about to say to Jordan was the right thing to say when her phone rang. She saw that it was Jordan. She answered and he told her to come to the departure gate. Destiny exited the airport and saw that Jordan was right there waiting for her. He was wearing a maroon blazer with dark brown pants and a black shirt, and he looked absolutely fantastic. She walked up to him and hugged him tightly. He hugged her back. Let us go, said Jordan. I will buy you lunch while you tell me whatever it is that you need to tell me. They went to a nearby cafe and Chantal sat down next to Jordan as they ordered lunch. She was not really hungry, but she did not want to worry Jordan, so she decided to eat anyway. Now, said Jordan, what is it that you have to tell me? I do not know how to start, said Destiny. I guess I will just say it. I am pregnant, Jordan. The child is yours, I am sure of it. I have not had sex with anyone else in months. Jordan looked as if someone had hit him across the head with a frying pan. He did not say anything, and this worried Destiny, so she kept on babbling. I do not expect anything from you, she said. I do not expect you to give me money or even be a part of my life or this child's life. That choice is yours to make, and yours alone. No one can force you to make any decision at all. But I just want you to know that I would appreciate it if you just tell me how you feel right now. I swear, the only reason I came here to talk to you was because I felt like you had a right to know. I am not getting an abortion. I do not want to do that, which means that I am going to keep the child. And that means that there is going to be a child in this world that is born of your sperm, your own offspring. That is why I am here. I swear I do not want or expect anything from you at all. You are pregnant? Asked Jordan. Yes I am, said Destiny, confused. She had a feeling that Jordan was completely dazed by this reveal and that he had no idea how to react. Did you hear anything I just said, or had you blanked out? No, I heard you, said Jordan. I can't believe it. He looked at her and said, You are so beautiful. This is such great news. What? Asked Destiny, completely shocked by Jordan's reaction. She had expected resentment, surprise, anger, maybe grief. Maybe she had expected a nervous acceptance of what was happening, but she had not at all expected excitement from his end. What was this? He was not the type of person to settle down. Why was he behaving this way? I am so happy, said Jordan. I told you that I wanted to settle down, that I was looking for a way to do so. I am so tired of my lifestyle. I am tired of sleeping around, of partying all of the time. I want to settle down with a beautiful woman, and I want a child of my own. You are a beautiful woman that is carrying my child. You are the perfect solution. I can settle down with you,